Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be revisiting homemade hiker's meals again. This time we're going vegan. Please click like and subscribe to join my hiking family. After my gluten-free hiker's meal episode, I had a couple of emails and a couple of people asked me what they should do if they were vegans and they wanted to make their own hiker's meals. So I started doing some looking, thinking about one of the biggest factors that vegans need is the protein content. So I found a bunch of ingredients that were not just nutritional, but also carried a lot of good flavor with them. Because it doesn't matter how much nutrition is in a meal if you don't enjoy eating it. So let's get into this and I'll show you what I've created and you can go from there. So we start off again, as usual, with the cut down Food Saver vacuum seal bag. The first thing I put in is the bulk of your meal. This is Yolele Fonio. It's an African super grain that is really nutrient dense and carries a good amount of protein with it. So I start with that with 1/4 cup. And I put this in the bottom because when you pour your water in, you want the grain to get the majority of the water. You want this to hydrate properly. Next, I move on to the dehydrated tofu sticks. And these, I measure out 35 grams. So I turn on my handy dandy kitchen scale and I set my dish on top of it and hit the tare button to zero it out so that I can measure out 35 grams. And it's generally about 5 sticks. And that one's at 6. Now, to more evenly distribute it and give you more of a chance for it to hydrate and for each bite to have its own bite of tofu, I go ahead and chop these up into more bite-sized pieces. And there we go. It crumbles, it's okay. They just make for smaller bites. So now those go into the bag. And then we move on. The next thing we do is we move on to the Anthony's spirulina. You want this mixed into the bottom as well so that it can hydrate and it can mix in better. If you have it too close to the top, it can tend to get a bit gummy, so you want to get it more evenly distributed. But this brings a lot of good nutrition, and for the amount that we're putting in, a lot of protein. I put in 2 teaspoons of spirulina. And yeah, there was already some in there when I put the teaspoons in because I didn't realize I'd grabbed the tablespoon. So there's going to be a little bit more in this one. Now when you get that in there, you want to kind of shake it around, give it a chance for the spirulina to mix in with the fonio. Again, to help avoid that clumpiness. Next, I go on to the sun-dried tomatoes. Sun-dried tomatoes have a surprisingly high protein content. But instead of just going for nutritional value in this one, we're moving on to nutritional value plus the flavor profile. So I do 28 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. Again, back to the kitchen scale. And it's still zeroed out on the plate. So we measure out 28 grams of tomatoes. And there we go, exactly 28 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. And there we go, 28 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. And I've saved you the time of watching me chop these up. So they go right in the bag, just like everything else. Now I will tell you, this meal isn't necessarily pretty when it's done, but it's got the nutrition and it's got the flavor, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. Next, I move on to 1 sheet of nori, dried seaweed. And these, for what you've got, actually bring a lot of nutritional content to the table. So I fold it a few times, and at the creases it helps to break it. So I want to slice this up, again, for even distribution. And then I slice this up. And there we go. 1 sheet of nori cut into ribbons. And that goes in, and you want to crumble it a little bit as you're putting it in to help break it up. Because again, you want even distribution. Now the nori, again, besides just bringing in some nutrition, adds a little bit of texture and a lot of flavor. When I first started planning my own hiking meals, it was all strictly about the nutrition. But being a foodie, I can't live like that for too long. So I started also looking into what can bring a lot of flavor to the table. Or the pouch, as the case may be. So again, you just kind of shake that up to get it a little bit more evenly distributed. Next, I move on to the final ingredient. And in my searches for how to get good amounts of protein into small spaces, I came across nutritional yeast. And this product has proven to be a nutritional powerhouse. It's not just protein. 3 tablespoons, though, will carry 9 grams of protein. So that alone makes it well worth it. Now, it brings a nice nutty flavor to the meal, so that doesn't hurt your feelings at all either. But there are tons and tons of different nutrients, vitamins and minerals, all kinds of nutrition in this thing. And if you go to my website, I'm going to post graphics of all the nutritional value in the 3 tablespoons that you're going to be getting in this meal. So we go with 3 tablespoons. There we go. That is one entire nutritional vegan hiking meal with tons and tons of nutrition. And again, I'm going to post the ingredients that are specifically in just the nutritional yeast. But in this graphic, you'll see what this meal has for its main nutritional value. This is a quick overview of the nutritional value contained within nutritional yeast. Follow the link in the description to see the full nutritional value at your leisure. And as always, back to the handy dandy Food Saver vacuum sealer. Switch it to operate, vacuum and seal. And again, that red light means that it is heat sealing this bag so that air can't get in, ingredients can't get out. Now, as always, I move it down a little bit so I can put a second heat seal on it, just to make sure that in the event that there was something in the way, that it'll help prevent any break of this seal. And there you have it. This thing is pretty packed solid. So when you put this in your pack, it takes up a tiny amount of space. Most commercial meals I've seen, there's a lot of air in the bag, so it takes up room in your pack and moves around a lot. This doesn't move. So this is at least a good place to jump off from if you're looking to make your own vegan hiking meals. Now again, I went for nutrition, but also flavor. And the spirulina and the nori bring a lot of umami to this meal. So there's a lot of great flavor packed into this little meal. Now, if you followed my channel for any length of time, you've noticed my meals are generally between $3 and $4 per. Vegan meals, pretty much like anything else out there, if you're vegan, is going to cost you more. I got this with these ingredients down, in these quantities, down to about $5.50 to about $6 per meal. So there you have it. It's still cheaper than your average over-the-counter commercial camp meal. Now, if you're going to use this exact meal out on the trail, you're going to want to do 3/4 of a cup of near boiling water into this. The fonio, a 1/4 cup of fonio, like every other grain, takes 1/2 cup of water to fully hydrate and to cook properly. So that leaves a 1/4 cup to get all of the tomatoes, the nori, everything else properly hydrated. Still leaves a good tooth to it, so you have a nice mouthfeel, but it doesn't overhydrate. You don't have a soupy mess, but you're not taking away from the fonio. Once you got it in there, then after a few minutes of letting it rest, fonio generally takes 5 minutes to cook, and that's the main thing you're after, is to make sure the fonio is properly cooked. Before you eat it, you're going to want to give it a good stir to help mix the ingredients up, help make sure any excess water has a chance to get hydrated or absorbed into the food, and then you can eat it. 3/4 of a cup of near boiling water in this, and you have a perfect meal. I played with this recipe quite a bit to make sure I got those proportions right, and 3/4 of a cup in these proportions always work out well. So there you have it. One highly nutritious, very cost-effective, homemade vegan hiking meal. These come in at about twice the price of my standard homemade hiker's meals, but considering the fact that this is a vegan meal at still less than your average commercial camp meal, it's still a good bargain. Now, this is just to get you started. Again, I looked at nutrition as well as flavor. The ingredients in this bring a good umami to the plate. But you could use this to jump off from in creating your own. Do you have a hiker's meal that you create, vegan, gluten-free, or other, that you'd like to share with us? Please leave a comment below. If you have any other questions or comments, please leave a comment or send me an email to trailnamemace@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. So if you're wondering what all that background noise was in this last video, it's this little beast here, my dog Dolly, who's not comfortable with being held, but she was more than comfortable being on camera with all of her noise. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Be sure to visit trailnamemace.com to find links to products I've reviewed. Thanks for watching, and keep hiking!